Hello everyone, swimmer Nathan Adrian here. I'm coming at you from Oakland, California during the COVID-19 shelter in place. Just wanted to catch up with you guys, say hello, see how you're doing, give you a little bit of an update as to what I am doing. When the craziness happened, the Cal postgrads were actually at the Olympic Training Center. We had gone to a meet in Des Moines, Iowa. We had swam pretty well there, and then we went straight to Colorado Springs for a little bit of a training session. About halfway through was when things were getting a little scary, when the virus started experiencing community spread here in the United States. Initially the thought was, hey, wow, like we are at the Olympic Training Center. Like what better place to be to ride this storm out. We can just train our butts off and be safe. We now realize how incredibly infectious this disease is, and that was no longer a viable option to stay there. There's, the food workers coming in and out, the security people, the people working for the NGBs that could just all offer exposure, and then if one of us gets it, we are all in really close quarters there. It's like, honestly, it's like a big cruise ship. If one of us got it, a bunch of us would have got it. The right call was made to send us home. We came home to a shelter-in-place order in the Bay Area, so things were pretty dicey around here. We were managing to train, trying to figure out how to get pool space, doing our weights workouts on our own. The next week is when the Olympics were actually postponed, and it was a crazy time. It was nice that a lot of athletes, and USA Swimming in particular, spoke up, encouraging the IOC to consider postponing the games sooner rather than later. And the decision was made, and it was a huge relief, to be honest. I mean, yes, of course, disappointment is the first thing that comes to people's mind when they think about the Olympics, of course. But the flip side of that coin is that relief part, because there was a lot of people in a lot of places that couldn't even train. A lot of countries had already gone on lockdown, or again, us in the Bay Area, we were in the shelter-in-place order, and then there was other places that were totally open for business. So it came to the point where it just didn't seem like it was right to be focused on trying to swim fast for gold medals and Team USA. The number one priority should be the health and wellness of ourselves and our communities. So the decision to postpone was just very, very clear and very much the right one. My best advice is definitely to take a step back, try to relax, take a day, take 2 days of just allowing yourself emotionally to recover from how crazy this is, and then start figuring out ways to improve as an athlete outside of what your typical regimen is. If you are playing football, or you're playing soccer, or you're a wrestler, like you can't do a normal practice. Like we are not supposed to be in that close of contact with people. Most people right now don't have weight rooms that they can even go and exercise at safely. Take stock of where you're at and what you can do, then get to work creating a program for yourself. So just an example, like all of us have enough space that we can probably work on our balance, for instance, and something silly just like standing on one leg and doing a lot of different movements. That's going to work a lot of the stability muscles in your legs and your hips and your lower back, or figure out how to get some bodyweight squats in, or one-legged squats in, or do a bunch of push-ups, or find a pull-up bar. And as you progress, of course, things like that get a little bit stale, but go online and look at, of course, Instagram is a huge resource, just the internet overall is a huge resource. Look at different progressions to try to get to the point where you could do a one-arm push-up. I'm not there yet, but I'm certainly working towards it. Figure out different ways that you can do bodyweight pull-ups, but you can kind of focus on one arm. So for me, I'm doing a full grip on my right arm and just a couple fingers on my left arm, and I'm doing 5 to 8 reps of that, and then I'm switching. And then I do full grip with my left arm, and then 2 fingers on my right arm. I know I'm overloading my right side at first, and then I'm overloading my left side at second. Don't get too discouraged to the point where you're just like throwing the towel in, saying, I can't practice right now, I can't do anything. It's like, no, you can find things to do, and no, it's not perfect. We're all in the same boat, but you can find things that you can work on, things that you can improve on, working out on your own at home. So some of the things that I do to keep myself like mentally fit, it's finding different challenges, finding different avenues of learning and growth that typically I cannot do. Just as an example, usually I am swimming a whole lot. I am basically waking up, eat, swim, eat, take a nap, wake up, eat, lift weights, swim, eat, cook for my wife when she gets home for dinner, eat dinner, and then hang out for a couple hours and then go to bed. And that's a day. And I love it. I love my life. I love my swimming career. It has been a total dream come true. But that being said, it doesn't mean that there weren't other things that I was a little bit sad that I couldn't experience or do myself. And one of those things is actually a little bit of woodworking. I have some time to figure out how to, build some storage shelves in my garage and get the garage to a point where it's not just a bunch of scattered items that are in a mess with a trail that just walks through from the front of the garage to the little door. So that has actually been what I've been focusing on lately. It's been a couple weeks now. I'm still not very good at it, but here's the thing, no one starts off great at these things. Everyone starts off as a beginner. So now is a time to refocus your mind and get into the beginner mindset where, hey, you're gonna make some mistakes at whatever it is. Maybe it's like photography. Pick up your camera, and you don't even need a fancy camera to be a good photographer these days. Like your phone's cameras are pretty darn good. You can go online, you can find some courses, some free ones online where you're working on your composition, or you get an app where you can manually control your camera settings and figure out how to do what you want to do through the camera lens. Besides just finding a way to still exercise or still find a way to better my physiological conditioning, I'm trying to find different ways to grow from a mental perspective. Once that goes stale, it's going to be hard to get motivated and get back on track again, I think. Next question is, how do I stay connected with my teammates and my friends when I cannot be physically close? And that's a great question. Honestly, I have probably talked to more people on the phone via either FaceTime or Zoom or Google Hangouts or just classic phone calls in the last week than I probably have in the last 6 months in terms of picking up the phone just to chat. That's the good news about our world's connectedness. I mean, could you imagine what would happen if this outbreak happened 20, 30 years ago before all of this? It would be like, I think I would be probably writing letters to people, which actually, funny enough, I'm actually doing that as well, just a little bit. Maybe you can even set a goal for yourself. Like as you go to bed, say, hey, I'm gonna call somebody or I'm gonna text somebody tomorrow at 10 a.m. that I haven't spoken to in a while, and I'm gonna catch up with them and I'm gonna find out what they're up to. And make that your little mini tangible goal that you try to set out and achieve for the day. Because it's easy to just say these things to yourself and say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, no problem. But if you set a finite time for it, maybe even set an alarm in your phone for it. Say 9:58, alarm pops up, says text so-and-so, see how they're doing at 10 o'clock. I just forgot, one of the things that we've been doing to stay connected with my buddies is we have a little book club. We read about this explorer that went to Antarctica, and the expedition didn't quite go as planned. Just another idea, start a book club with your friends. There's a lot of different ways to stay connected out there, and just trying to encourage you to figure out a way to do so. So next question is, how do I keep my bigger long-term goal in focus? And the way I do that is that that goal is always there. That goal has been there for years and years and years. You always have like mini goals that are just a step below that. And typically that is such and such type of performance at either practice, or try to go this time at a meet, or try to improve my weightlifting performance in terms of my strength and my conditioning. Those goals right now are kind of on the back burner, to be honest. I am focusing a little bit more on what I had talked about previously, working on my balance and working on my fitness from a body weight perspective. It is different, it's not ideal, but I am a goal-oriented person. It gives me a little shot of happiness when I achieve a goal. So to work on it and see progress, and then ultimately at the end of the day, achieving that goal definitely is something that gives me a lot of satisfaction. If my long-term goal is something like the Olympics, Tokyo 2021, my other goals just below that help contribute to getting there. And that would mean all those things that we just mentioned: doing my push-ups, doing my pull-ups, doing my progression to being able to do single arm push-ups, doing a progression to try to do single arm pull-ups, and doing my single leg squats. Those sorts of goals in their roundabout way all help to contribute to swimming fast in Tokyo 2021. I think following the social distancing guidelines is really important. Physical distancing, actually, not social distancing. I have been a huge supporter of masks since day one, and I think that the government is starting to change its minds regarding masks. If you have N95 masks, I would encourage you to donate those to your local hospital if they are in need. For me, in California, we actually had fires here the last couple years in the fall. So I had a couple leftover N95 masks that I would actually wear when I was outside to just try to protect myself from that particulate matter during those times and protect my lungs. So I have a couple of old ones, and I actually wear those. And I'm going to today take some old t-shirts that are in my donation pile, and I'm gonna cut them up and try to make masks that will go over that to protect the integrity of those masks. And if you don't have the N95 mask, that's totally fine. Do your part, just wear one. It really helps to prevent you from spreading the virus to other people. It also really helps prevent you from touching your own face, I think, which is a huge vector for this disease. And no, you don't have to wear it around the house. I'm not wearing a mask right now. I'm just talking about when you go out in public, if you have to go to the grocery store or whatever store it may be, wear a mask. I just want to thank you guys for tuning in, paying attention, hanging out with me for a couple minutes. Stay safe out there. Figure out something that you could do with this time that you wouldn't otherwise do. Thank you guys.